Alright, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another Invader video. Today we'll be looking at a different problem for invasion. So how can we invade Black's formation that we see on the board? Right. So previously we talked a lot about second line invasion, third line invasion, fourth line invasion, and many local tactical moves as well. Today we are encountering a different problem, that is when our opponent has a moyo that is fairly developed, right? We can see that Black has a very strong wall on both sides and a very nice stone right in the middle to form a very symmetric formation. So feel free to pause the video and think about some of the invasion points. And when you come back, we will go through some of the thought process. So what comes to our mind? Well, first of all, logically speaking, since Black has a very symmetric shape, so we're only going to look at the points from one side, right? Because the other side, it's a similar story. So the first thing that comes to our mind is probably a move at R12, right? Or maybe we can go in at Q12, or maybe we can potentially look at a higher invasion because our opponent's formation is very, very strong. And also we can maybe think about this one, but I think at this time, at this point, I think you guys know that this is a little bit questionable already, right? After watching so many invasion videos. And also, I will probably cover weird moves like this attachment, right? Attach at Q11. That could, that looks strange, but that could actually happen in your game. And I want you to know as Black how you would defend against attach. So we'll go through them one at a time. So the most common move is obviously for us to make the invasion here, but that's a very, very aggressive invasion. It is good if you can make it alive in a very decent way, but this is actually very hard. So first of all, you have to be very, very good at reading. So first of all, Black can choose to block any entry onto this side, right? So here already you have to be very strategic about how you invade. Let's say you play the most legit looking move. They're probably not that legit, right? So at this point, White is suddenly surrounded by all these black stones, right? And then it takes a lot of skills to live inside Black's moyo, right? And then this is usually how I would say the 1Q, 2Q, even 1 Dan players would suddenly end their game by having a dragon dead right from the start, right? Like because you played seemingly legit moves, but after a few exchanges, you're suddenly under a lot of trouble, right? If you run this way, Black will cap you inside, and this is just fairly difficult for White to move on, basically. So not to say Black can attack in a more aggressive way like this. This is all very dangerous for White moving on. So this is probably better, right? If you actually encounter this, we can go a bit faster because we have a lot of stones. So White is kind of in trouble. It takes tremendous reading to get yourself out, right? So if you're not strong enough, the likely you will be killed right here. Like this is not even about living in decency. This is just about not able to live at all, right? So I would say R12 is a good initial thought, but after some sort of reading or planning, we realize that it takes way too much skills, takes way too much reading power to be able to manage this R12 move. So I don't recommend R12 for my users. Let's quickly examine, well, what about Q12, right? Can we run a little bit faster towards the center? Well, first of all, Q12 has a lot of problems. Because the last video, if you recall, you can go ahead and watch my last video. It was when basically the game was when white has a stone here, right? Then we said, oh well, what is the best invasion point? And it turns out that we can invade at Q8. That was the recommended move, if you remember. And the idea is to separate black and actually attack the 3 black stones. But obviously, this is very different from today's formation. So this is where I think this is something that you can sort of learn from the Invader series, is that we looked at some similar formations, but then I changed the stone at N3 to black, and it suddenly changes our strategy for invasion. Because now if we invade somewhere at Q12, this is not a great idea because black has a stone on the 3rd line. So the wall is very strong. So if we go in, try to attack the wall, that is not a great idea. It's kind of like you trying to attack a tiger in the jungle. It's usually not a clever idea. When black hops like this, not much I can do, right? Like if white, white's already very difficult. If you go this way, black will seal you in. It's very difficult for white to live. What about moves like this? Well, since black is so strong, black can already just cut you off, right? Black can play very aggressive because of the number of stones that black has. And now you need some grandmaster skills to deal with this trouble. So if you go for this, immediately there's no solution because the ladder simply is not going to work for white. So very hard to deal with, right? I would not want to be in this position where I get cut off and then black has so many fighting stones. So it turns out that Q12 is also problematic. So what about well, what about a little bit higher, right? What's the deal when we play a little bit higher, right? So we would hope that black plays R12, and actually you can actually play R12 as black. I checked with AI, and this is an okay move. The reason being that it connects everything, and then it secures some territory, and then it's very patient, and it looks to attack the stone later on. So this is not a bad strategy. So that's the first concerning move actually for white, right? Is when black actually plays very patiently. Black also has ideas like Q12, right? This is very hard to deal with, especially for my viewers. So first of all, if you honey, black will crosscut, right? So once again, black has so many fighting stones, supporting stones, and then having a crosscut, having a fight like this is usually not a great idea. So how does white keep going from here? So if you just say, hey, I panic, and then Atari, why not? And then make a tiger's mouth, black will seal you in, right? So even if white manages to live, very likely the corner is going to be hurt, and black has a tremendous influence towards the outside, right? This is a huge wall towards the outside. So even if white lives, white might still be losing the game. So not a great idea, right? If white just goes for the crosscut. Maybe AI has excellent way to deal with it, but as for human players, this is very difficult to actually deal with. So so I talk about these 3 points, and what about moves like this, right? Let's first go for this kind of move. Well, first of all, there's a lot of problems with this move, right? Like this there's already tactical problems, like if black just honey connect, the corner is suddenly pressured. If white somehow tries to get out, get the corner comfortable, black might immediately just kill the stone, right? So already this is very hard. Like how do you live inside here, right? Not so cool. Likely white is gonna die in here. So tactically, this is not a great invasion point, and from a global sort of idea perspective, this is also a terrible point because whenever black descends, it hurts both sides, and we don't want black to have a move like this. So finally, what about this kind of attach move, right? This seems weird, but what if your opponent just plays it? What if your opponent just like, you know what? I'm just gonna play a move like this. So against this kind of moves, if you're not too good at fighting, you can go ahead just extend up, and it's not so clear how basically how white is going to continue here. But not to say, so I talked about a very patient move, but not to say a better move, slightly better move is probably to go for the fight because black has so many helping stones. So here if white just extend things like that, well, black can basically connect on top, right? Looks like white has ways to get out, but whenever you try to get out, black can use his strength here and then kill, and then go for a very aggressive fight. And white actually has no way to easily deal with this kind of aggression. So, right, if you go for this one, I can honey, right? If you honey, I will cut. And it's just very difficult to struggle something out for white, right? Obviously, if white goes for fancy stuff such as honey, black is able to basically so when you encounter something like this, as black first is to cut white off, and then you keep playing very fiercely by squeezing white's liberty here. And then this is also very difficult to deal with. So immediately I don't see a solution for white moving forward. So if white just sacrifice like this, black gets a lot of profits here. So white can never invade this part of the board because black's way too strong. And then white obviously has all kinds of problems going on here. Not to say what black can just connect back like this, things like that. So this is not really acceptable for white to just sacrifice these two stones. So yeah, so that's a very detailed explanation as to why moves like this might be okay, but it's very, very difficult to manage as human players. So today we'll introduce you a different idea in Invader series. That is to not invade, right? That is for you to be very patient and not to invade when your opponent already has a very, very strong moyo. So today, the correct move that I present, or I think not necessarily the correct move, but the move I recommend to my users that is easy to use, is for you to actually play this reduction move. So here, black pretty much, black obviously can go for moves like this. But then now white, because of this helping stone, white is able to invade directly into black's territory. So this is going to help tremendously for white's invasion. So usually black does not want that, so black will defend at Q12. So this is a very solid move that secures the territory and connect black. But white is totally fine actually. So white is so actually here I need to put more attention. So so here, not only knowing one move is not, sufficient. We need to know the next move. That is for you to play very lightly here, right? Notice how white plays here. It's a very, very light move. Very, very hard to catch and very flexible, very slippery as well. Very, very interesting move. I said how many very, oh my god, my lack of vocabulary is insane. Anyway, so a large knight move. This is an AI recommended move, and I actually learned a lot from this move. And I think just something that you guys can learn as well is when invading, you try to make a very light shape, right? If you just play this move, it looks fine, but when black actually peeps you, this becomes really, really heavy. So black will not immediately attack you. Black will probably start by bullying this corner, and then look for an opportunity to attack these three guys. Right, we can already see this is very heavy for white. White does not want that to happen. So an excellent AI recommended move is for us to go like a Kung Fu master, pretty much, right? A big knight Kung Fu move. So now it is very, very hard for black actually to know what to do next. So let's assume that black says, hey, you know what? I think p9 is an excellent point that I need to take right now to secure my territory. White says no problem. White will honey, right? So we reduce first from the top, then we honey from the bottom to squeeze black territory. This is a very, very nice idea. These moves coordinate very, very well. Black will block and we will connect back. So now our corner is a lot larger. And black has a very tough problem. Has a very hard question to answer. Do you fix the weakness here or not? Let's say black does not fix the weakness. Later on, white is going to have a clamp move that's going to destroy territory. So first, if black counterattacks, white will jump. So this is a sente because there's a cutting point. So if black connects, white is able to successfully destroy everything that black has here. So this is very, very unpleasant for black, right, to lose all this territory. But let's say black actually fixed this. So this move is excellent because if black fixed this, now white has the sente. And now this is the time where we should do a count to see how many points. The fact that we let black get all this territory is really based on judgment, and it should be based on judgment. So let's actually judge what is going on the board. So we'll assume that white gets all that, and then later on we will say that we'll see that white will pretty much just go for something like this, just so that black's territory is easier to count. So this is a counting practice that I would like to do with you guys. So how much territory does black have here? So let's do a basic count. So first, the trick is to get yourself a nice rectangle, so that will save you a lot of time. So this is 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, right? 3 times 8, that is going to be 24. And now we have a 25, 26, right? These 2 points are blacks. All right, so 27, 28, right? So all the way to here. And these points, these cannot really be all be black points because white can actually peep at P13. So I'm not going to put that stone actually on the board. So we'll just say, conservatively speaking, it's 24, 1, 2, 3, 4. So 24 plus 4, 28. All right, so another very nice box here. So that's 2 times 4. 28 plus 8 is 36. And then don't forget this point here. That's 37. So just to be conservative for white, we will just say that black is going to have 40 points because we didn't count these guys. Okay, let's assume that black has 40 points. That's a very optimistic count for black. Now, how many points does white have? So here we'll just say that things will settle like this, right? So we'll play a similar position. Oops. We'll play a similar position to look at what is going on. So here white has 10 points. Here this is 11 points. So remember, this is 2 times 5, right? 2 times 5 plus another one. This is 11. This is 10. So 10 plus 11, that's 21. So we said black has 40. So 40 minus 21. So black has 19 point surplus. And that's pretty optimistic for black. And white has 3 stones versus 1 outside. So what is 3 stones? How do you judge 3 stones? Well, you can think about it this way, right? So black plays first, and black has to pay a 6.5 komi. So we'll just say each move is worth 6.5, right? Because black plays first, and he has to pay 6.5. That kind of means that a move is worth 6.5, right? So we'll just say so white has 2 extra moves, so that's 2 times 6.5, that's 13 points, right? So that's 13 points. So we said black had 19 points surplus minus 13 points. Black has about 6 points surplus. But remember, black still has to pay komi. We didn't count the komi. So it's 6.5. So black has 6 points to pay for 6.5 komi. So optimistically speaking, this is a 0.5 losing game for black. But obviously, I mean, that's just way too crazy to think to actually say this is 0.5 point losing game. But you get my point. The point is that white is not behind at all, actually, in terms of territory. It is with this kind of counting practice that we're able to make the correct judgment for our position. That's why at this point that I was able to know that with a move like O12, white is going to be totally fine, right? Because any other moves here, we said they present certain risks. They present the opportunity for black to destroy us or get profits towards our corner. Instead, I presented a very, very safe option that's for you guys to this is more like an idea, right? If you just say, hey, what about a move like this? Well, this is also, I guess it's okay, but could be tactical problems. But yeah, the idea is basically there, right? Is for us to not invade, right? All my Invader series have been how to invade, but today I will present how to not invade as my invasion idea. That is for you to make the correct judgment, understand that you're not behind in terms of position, understand that just by playing on the 6th line, things are going to be okay. And this is a very, very important mindset to have in mind. And look at the next move. That is for you to play a very nice, light, flexible move. When black insists on getting the territory, we will say, hey, can I get this in Sente? So that's a very tough question. Black obviously can Tanuki, but later on there's a very big move, that is the clamp on the 2nd line. So we already presented that. So this is pretty much the idea for today. That is for you to sometimes not care too much about territory, right? A lot of times you just have enough, right? And the idea, sometimes we're so aggressive that we don't want our opponent to get anything that idea is a very problematic idea, actually, right? That can get you into trouble. Sometimes we should also give our opponent territory, as long as our position is fine, and as long as we have the correct judgment. Then we can go ahead and play safely and play in a very reasonable way. Alright, so don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel, and thank you very much for watching. Talk to you guys next time.